pull that down. We have to have two big screens. Well, if you guys remember, in our last segment, and I haven't done anything since our last segment on this, I've been working on my friend's Yatsenko, which I should be doing right now, but I promised that I would do some on the Tucker special. I didn't do a video last night because I had the Yatsenko to work on. And I might show that in the video here. Anyway, we're gonna do wood selection for sheeting and cutting out the sheeting. And I think I have figured out a way. If you remember, I think I had 8 ounces of wood to start. And that 8 ounce of wood is enough for the whole wing, plus some. Of course, I forgot to add in the foam for the leading edge, but we can figure that all out here. Anyway, I want to get all the knots off my glass here. Remember, I'm not in a rush to build this airplane, so if I don't get a video every day, it's because I got other things going on, but we'll come back to it, everybody. I got a few letters from people saying how much they enjoyed the Tucker series. And not to fear, I mean, we'll do something here. Get that closed. Okay, so see if I can find my dressmaker's tape. Haven't seen it in a while. Not in there. Not in there. Crap. If you know it, by the time I need something, I can't find it. That's why it's so hard to work here, because there's no place to store anything. Okay, let's look over one other space. No dressmaker's tape. Okay, what? I see it. I know this is boring now, but hey, it's what I gotta do. For this operation, you're gonna need a dressmaker's tape and some Ace bandages. And you say, what the heck am I going to use Ace bandages for? Well, I go on that floor with it. I'll vacuum it up later. Okay. Wood top, here's the wood. Okay, inboard top, where are my shucks? There we go. Okay, I'm going to do the inboard wing panel first. I think I can get by with just 2 sheets of wood on each leading edge. That would save a bunch. So if you're doing a lost foam wing or any type of construction where you're molding or whatever, first thing you're going to want to do, besides wood selection, and we'll go through that here in a minute, is get the measurements. And how you get those with the dressmaker's tape. I'm sure I've shown this before. I have a line scribed into there. All this extra inch is just for so that's 3. Yeah, we can get by with one sheet. 3, 6 inches, maybe 1¼ sheets. So I need 6 inches on the end. Nope, can't get by with one sheet or 3 sheets or 2 sheets. 6 inches on the end and 9 inches on the other. 6 and 9, so it's going to take 3 sheets. So we got to, what I like to do is I try to match the grain. Now if you look here, this is kind of checked. You don't want to use that for molding. This is a piece of wood you wouldn't mind using for molding, except the grain right here runs a little screwy. So we're looking for the straightest grain that's clear of knots. This is a good piece here. This is a real good piece, except it's not A grain, so can't use that. A grain wood, this is a perfect piece. A grain wood is going to be very flexible. Here we have that, I don't know, kind of looks like cancer, but that's a possibility. That's a possibility. This is not A grain. Seems that my A grain stuff has the cancer on it. Yeah, this is good. That's no good. Too stiff. Oh, see how it cracked? That's going to have to be rib wood. That's B grain. This is a possibility, but it's hard up here. B grain or A grain. These are light 9s. Okay. We have these possibilities right here. These have been ruled out as unusable for sheeting. Not that they're not good. It's not good wood because it's very light stuff, but it's very stiff grained. So you don't want to use that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay the sheets out and see which sheets look similar. Okay. Like they were cut from the same piece of wood or the same section of the tree or whatever. If you notice, none of them, you know, they're all warped. The cuts are all not straight. I think these 3 here So these two came from the same part of the tree. If you look, we got, matter of fact, they fit together. So these two pieces will go together. This looks like it may have started, it probably came from the same log. Okay, I think this piece here came from over here. All right, I basically got my 3 sheets selected that I'm going to use for the inboard side. See how much they've warped? There's an eighth of an inch curve in the darn thing. But that's okay, it's not a big deal. Let me put this little scoop over here so I don't break it. All right, I need my meter stick. I have a metal meter stick because a meter is a little longer than a yard as a straight edge, and these pieces are 3 foot long, so you want to have a stick that goes from end to end so that you can make one straight cut through. So let's we're gonna use a razor blade here. Now for you kids out there who watch me or whatever, all this stuff that I work with is real sharp. I can't say real dangerous because I've been building since about 7 years old. And when I was a kid, they didn't have a double-edged razor blade like this. They only had, or single edge, they only had double edge. So we would take the double edge blade out of the protective spot. You couldn't very well hold a double edged blade like this. And we would take a matchbook and break off the spine of the matchbook, the paper matches, and slide that razor blade into a matchbook and then cut your pieces out. And in those days, gallows kits were not die cut, they were die crush. And believe me, that wood was pine. It was terrible. But my father had built airplanes in the 40s, and he kind of passed it on how to do that and be safe. So I'm right-handed. I'm going to cut from left to right. So I got to turn the wood around. Square it up real good. Hold the blade at 90 degrees to the bench. And try to make a smooth cut. And anybody that's ever built any amount of airplanes will tell you that this wood relieves. So when you make a cut like that, it's going to that's why the bow is there in the to begin with, because this started out on a log. I don't know how big the log is, but when they milled it out as a living thing, it didn't grow straight, so it doesn't want to be cut straight. And the reason why your airplane is constantly changing shape on the field, as it is a living thing, and it has memory. It's trying to grow back towards the sun. Doesn't matter how much paint, epoxy, paper, whatever you have put on it, it wants to go back to the natural way it was. Okay, so that's 2 cuts. They fit together pretty good. Each one of these pieces has been out about 1/8 of an inch from end to end. Okay, that's both sides of this piece. So this is going to be my centerpiece, I think. Let's see if this is the most flexible piece out of the pile. Yep. Okay, so that should fit together. And it does perfectly. So this is a straight edge here, and this piece has not been cut. And it's pretty close. Let's see. It's close, and yeah, it's real close. But we'll go ahead and true it up too. That way I know I got a good gluing surface. Now the nice thing about this sheeting that I'm doing here is I'm going to be gluing this to a foam buck. So we're not going to have to worry about how good did I get the seam done. Perfect. Okay, so now for the next trick, we'll go back to a stick that I can understand. So 1/2 is 1.5 inches, so we know that. But we lost about 1/8 of an inch off the whole thing. We'll just make it 1.5 inches. That's our center line from the top. I'm going to go ahead and draw that center line. Now, Bob Hunt, I don't think draws it until after it's done, but I'm just going to do a light penciling of that in there. And basically all these things that I'm showing you here, I learned from Bob Hunt's advanced molding video. So you want to learn how to mold balsa wood, especially the compound molding, I'd suggest that you get Bob Hunt's video. Now, he wasn't the first to mold wood, neither was Al Raves, but they have a package figured out and a good video put together that you too can learn how to do it. So learn from everybody. I've stolen from the best. Okay, we need some wax paper. I would say this is a pretty important step unless you want to glue the sheeting to the what happened to the camera here? I'm gonna have to turn off the automatic focus, I guess. This new Jitsi software is not that good. It does some weird stuff. Okay. Let's go ahead and glue these together. What I do is I pull them together and put some drops, tack them together, thin CA. You can do this ever how you want, but this is just how I do it. I by no means, you know, the end all answer to everything. Kind of what works for you. There's no right way to do any of this stuff. There's the right way, the wrong way, and my way. And my way seems to work for me, but if it don't work for you, do it your way. That's a nice thing about model building. This is just this thing that I do, this building of these airplanes is just rather relaxing. I really enjoy sanding. I mean, there's nothing like a piece of balsa wood in your hand and carve it into a, you know, carve that block into a cowl and sand it, and sand it from the inside and candle it till it's perfectly 3/32 of an inch thick all the way around, like it's a molded piece. I just don't think there's any greater satisfaction in saying, hey, look what I did. And that's why building is such an adventure for me, because you did something. You didn't go to the store and say, look what I bought. No, I made it. And it doesn't take 50 or 60 years experience to get good. It just takes desire. Okay, so there they're tacked together. Let's go ahead and hit that with a block here. I'll put a little dust on it. This, what I'm doing here, just lets the wood kick off, because I'm going to take that CA and I'm going to go right down those lines and glue them together, and hopefully we won't get too much bleed through, because CA is hard to sand. And this here's there is a little trick that I learned after learning how to do this, because it wasn't shown in the video. But or you can take ticker and kick it off, but what that does is leave hard lumps. Okay, so that's one line. So we can find the line now. I'm not sure. I think Rusty's going to have to go to the hospital again, so I might be your host on the hangout tomorrow night. And I can't. Rusty can last for hours and talk for hours. I can't last that long. So what I really need is another. We need a third team member. So if you have any experience on YouTube or would like to learn the broadcasting of YouTube, let me know and maybe we'll work in as a third moderator or third program so that Rusty can get a break and we don't miss any shows. Okay, it looks to me that this end here is the end that's going to be best suited for the cut or the root. Now this wax paper should be glued to this somewhat. Wax paper's cheap. Don't be a cheapskate. Okay, this is the side that's going to show. Now we had a little bleed through with the CA, but that's pretty easy to fix. Just take your sanding block and don't use 80 grit. Huh. I don't have a block set up with 320. That's 80. I'm not sure I have any 320. Yeah. That's 80. Huh. I'm going to have to order some 320. Could have swore I had a little. But I don't. Well, what am I going to do here? I guess I can use 100. Ah, there's a piece 320. Time to order some more wood. This any of that CA that leaked through, it's shiny, and it will also might have some wax paper glued to the sheet. You can just sand it off till it's smooth, and you'll feel a little bit of. Here's the hard side here. When you're doing this, be careful, because if you get a rock stuck in the see, this is the end that I was going to use. I might have to cut that off there. Imperfection in the grain. Okay, this is an experimental wing build. And this particular buck is cut to the exact length. Well, what that comes from is not thinking things out. It needs to be at least a 1/4 inch longer so that I can have an 1/8 inch center rib and a 1/16 inch tip rib with some left over to block sand square. So we're just going to add that and let it hang over. So that's kind of the important part about thinking things through. And looking for my square now. I don't have one. Oh, there's a bigger one there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to cut out the bad portion of the grain. Get yourself to Harbor Freight. They sell these 3 squares really cheap. Really cheap. You get a large, medium, small. I think it's under $10. Okay, I've cut out the bad part of the grain, and this is what's going to be showing on the outside. So this is my buck. I'm going to leave 3/8 on this end and 3/8 on the other end. And if I can't figure it out in 3/4 of an inch, I ain't doing something right. And we're not building the watch. There's no measurement really needed here. It's just eyeball. I do a lot of eyeball engineering. And you see these pieces here? Some guys will try to save these for the center sheeting or whatever. Don't. Throw it out. Use the right stuff. Don't be cheap. Yeah, it's a waste of wood, but is it really a waste of wood when the project is done and it's perfect? So let's feel that. I'll just do I'll do this one on camera and I'll do the other one off camera because it's repetition, very boring. So we'll only do one of these tonight. It's best if you can do this with a friend, believe it or not, because molding you need a few hands actually, or get your wife to help you or girlfriend or whatever. You want to keep sanding these until you can't feel the seam. And that's basically why I like to use 3/32 over 16th, but this is going to be glued to foam, so if I go a little beyond the pail, it won't matter because it'll be glue backing it up. Okay. Remember, your hands are better than your eyes. You can't see that, but you sure could feel it. Okay, this skin is ready. So I said I needed 9 and 6. So, and 9 and 6 were pretty generous as far as leaving, because it's only actually 7 1/4. So let's see what we have here as far as, well, to make things easy, we'll just make it 8. That way you put the 4 on the center line, make a tick mark. We're going to trim this off before it goes on the other buck anyway. If you're cutting your own foam wings or whatever, always make the mold, bigger. Let's see, we're going to do 6. I want to make sure that's good. I don't have any questions. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Got 3, 6. So we're going to make this 7. So 3 1/2 on each side. Three and a half. And 7 should be 3 1/2. Yep. Okay. Now I'm not going to bore you with filling up the bathtub and all that other business, but I'll explain how it's done. Because that takes about 15 minutes, and on this set of videos, I'm just not going to do all that I used to do. I used to get comments about dead air time or whatever. The guys who give me the thumbs down really make it discouraging when I'm trying hard to pass on this information. Well, I gotta get it on the mark there. That's why I hate cutting overhand like this. It should be on the other side. There we go. Now this line will be cut and sanded after it's on the buck, so it doesn't much matter. But try to do neat work. Okay, we have a wing skin now, a leading edge skin. And as I've stated, this is the first wing I've built this way. If you guys remember, I've done some other wing type construction on my channel. I really want to do an X-wing yet. But what we have here is the skin. Let's see what it weighs. Drum roll, please. Half ounce. 16 grams. So we have our first ounce on the wing, is the wing skin. Let's see what the where did that go? Okay, I have, oh, that's that. That's shoot, too much shit. Inboard top, so that's the long one. Okay, let's see what the whole, and this is less the glue, so we'll just weigh this with no trimmings, and that should give us a pretty approximate weight of what this D of the D tube is going to cost us in weight. So we got 1737 mode, so it's 1.3 ounces, 2.6. Now we should have a 5-ounce wing, so that's 2.6 plus the compression spar. Yeah, that should be good. I still have to lay out these before I can glue this on here. I have to lay out these 2 clips and get them cut. I'll be doing that over John's this weekend if he's home. If not, you know, it'll have to wait. Okay, put that back. So that was making the skin, and what happens there is I fill the bathtub up with hot water. I'll do these both together off camera. There's a few things I'm going to do off camera on this because it's just too, I mean, there's no way for me to do it on camera. But these get laid in the bathtub. Now, Al Rabe says that he used ammonia in the water. Don't do it. It breaks down the lignin in the grain, and the lignin is the natural glues that hold the wood fiber together. And if you want brittle wood, go ahead and add ammonia. I bought a steam generator and still have yet to hook it up because I don't have a steam box. That's going to get put on that mold buck like so and wrapped around, and it'll go around there very easily after being steamed or wetted and wrapped with the Ace Banded and let it set overnight. And then when I take that skin off, we'll transfer it to the foam over there. I'll put the Z-epoxy on here, then you want to wipe it all off. And then we'll wrap it on the leading edge and put it back in the cradle and weight it flat so it's nice and straight. It'll have the wing clips in it and the spar on it at that time. So I'm sitting here plotting how I'm going to do this because, as I said, I've never built a wing like this before. So I have to think it through. So I think that the thing to do now that I'm sitting talking about this is we're going to lay out those wing clips. I'll cut and make the wing clips. Glue the wing clips into the other leading edge and get that glued onto the spar. Put back in the buck and then sand the spar to the perfect shape, then glue the sheeting on. That's the sequence. This is actually waste. So, you know, when you see this here, it's not waste. It's a good Tucker Special leading edge mold. but it doesn't go on the airplane. So this is, like I say, complicated, more complicated than just building a wing. But I feel that with this sheeting glued to that piece of foam, I won't have that starved horse look that I absolutely hate. And if you look at your airplanes, you'll see it. There's one other thing that I just absolutely hate, and that's the hardwood transition in the nose of all the airplanes, where you're sanding the nose down to the spinner and you happen to sand that balsa wood into the maple and you get that spot. And that spot, no matter what you do, super fill fiberglass, it don't matter, is going to show up at one season sitting in the sun. It'll jump out at you like a sore thumb. So as Charles was doing, he's molding his nose. That's the only way you can get away from it. As long as you don't break the balsa wood and get into the hardwood, it won't show. Of course, the other thing to do is like this with an extension. By the time you sand into the nose ring, you're not going to clip that hardwood there. So that's about all I got for this session. I hope you guys are learning something. Otherwise, I'm totally wasting my time with these videos. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, well, you can always watch Wendy videos. That guy's a heck of a craftsman. Anyway, like, subscribe, share the video. Tomorrow night is a hangout night, so there won't be a Tucker build this weekend. I probably may, I will do, if I can, do at least an hour live stream. We'll probably do that from John's and plotting the landing gear stations. And maybe I can get some clear on my airplane. I don't know. It's pretty crappy weather. I'm looking to finish my profile. It's still sitting on the paint stand over John's. So anyway, thanks for watching. Till I see you again. Fair winds, tight lines. See ya.